and all sorts of But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the house barrage, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Being kind is the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Fuck, why is it doing this again? Sorry. Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel where we're having technical difficulties again. I don't know why it is immediately going to the wrong window. It's never done that before. Yeah. I mean, OBS says has it going to the right place? Hello, Adria. Hello, Adam. Welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. Hey, Riveroon. And I thought, I saw something in my recommendations, and I thought we have to give this a look. Tim Pool. yeah, that was a classic intro. That'll be one for, like, when I do the year's end wrap-up thing like I did last year. That'll have to be in there, I think. God. This is Pim Tool. NYT admits leftist men are weak and frail in a hilarious article praising Hassan Piker. Which, I mean, because that's what we all know about the New York Times. They've always been the newspaper that all they're ever talking about is how alpha communist dudes are. So I thought we might have a look at that. To start out, we've got a few other things for afters.
From the New York Times, a progressive mind in a body made for the manosphere. They changed the title. Oh. Yeah, because it said...
Oh, that's right. They did they did actually change the title. I mean, okay, so this is what they're going to be talking about. Like, because the idea is that the New York Times is saying that if you are, like, in shape, if you work out or something like that, that working out is somehow a right-wing thing? Or some bullshit? So, of course, Tim Pool is always seizing on some evidence that women are going to have to start sleeping with him eventually. And so I guess this is the latest of that. Did they, like, shrink his head in that image, or is this just a really bad angle?
It said MAGA body before.
Yeah, it did. It actually did.
And what you were saying is they're basically admitting that the left is a bunch of frail, low-T guys who don't exercise.
They absolutely, it's absolutely true. Yes,
there
are some dudes that are on the left that lift. Of course there are. But
of course there are. Like... Yeah, this is so cute, because I love how they're acting like this is some sort of big cat that's been let out of the bag by the New York Times. Like, the New York Times... I mean... because the New York Times totally would never, ever pander to the far right by, say, hiring Brett Stevens, Barry Weiss, and all sorts of other, like, shitheads.
But, generally, dudes that are on the left are not thinking about things like, oh man, I should go to the gym today.
How the fuck would you know, though? Like, how many of these guys do you even fucking know?
I should do something to improve myself. They just don't have that attitude.
Yeah, I mean, that's leftist right there. Leftists don't care about self-improvement like going to gym. I mean, as opposed to these guys are constantly bettering themselves. Like, each time you see them, they are somehow improved slightly, imperceptibly over the last time you saw them.
Someone else's fault. It's someone else. There's someone else is the reason why these bad things have happened to me. They don't believe they have agency over their own body. Never mind their.
Like, wait. I mean, these are the same people who will slag off trans people for like taking hormones and transitioning. And he's saying leftists. The thing that leftists are famous for is not believing that people have agency over their own body.
Like circumstances.
So here's the original headline. Hassan Piker, a progressive mind in a MAGA body.
Yeah.
I love that headline. Let's
Wow, I'm shocked that Tim loves that headline.
let's roll with it. If you are fit, if you exercise, if you like weapons, that's MAGA. The only anomaly is that for some reason Hassan is progressive.
Wait. Yeah, because, I mean, if there's one thing, if you go to one of these, like, fucking fash rallies, you... all the guys are in such good shape.
I gotta be honest though. I actually don't believe Hassan is progressive. And
Wait, what? Okay.
I actually don't think most of these people are. So we went over this the other day with David Pacman.
Okay, where's he going to go with this? Is he going to use the fact that the term progressive basically means nothing? Or is it going to be he's secretly right-wing?
Brian Tyler Cohen. Boy, I love dragging these guys right now because 92, like probably 95 to 100% of their videos are literally just Trump, 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 Trump. Trump is bad for this reason. Now he's bad for this reason. Now he's bad for this reason. And it's like, these people don't talk about news.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the guy you're talking about, he's in the news. If he were just some random dude, they wouldn't be talking about him.
They're literally just Trump review channels.
Wait.
Which means...
well, as opposed to, like, Tim here, Tim is totally bringing the topical news here by talking about how the New York Times admits leftist men are weak and frail.
Can't simultaneously exist in this space where everything Trump does is bad. Where so like
well, I mean that's the space that most people are in, though. Have you looked at his fucking numbers?
Thing, which we'll get into in a little bit, where it's like a 2-year-old was deported because the mom requested the 2-year-old leave with her. How dare Trump do that?
And one thing to just note there. I mean, yeah, that is actually cruel and fucked up, especially because that 2-year-old had cancer and is being taken away from her treatment. But it is true that that is not something that Trump invented. That's been going on for ages. And it is why when guys like this talk about like fucking anchor babies or any of that bullshit, it's just a lie. Because having a U.S. citizen child does not give you any real protection from getting kicked out of the country.
Then you got a simultaneous story from the New York Times. A 2-year-old stayed after his parents were deported. How dare Trump do that?
So, it's almost as if maybe taking little kids away from their parents for no good reason is harmful. I wonder if there's another option other than deporting a 2-year-old U.S. citizen who has cancer and thus endangering their health and life, or deporting the parents and like stealing their child. I wonder if there might be another way to solve this. Like, what if you could actually just not deport anybody?
I imagine that if you actually got someone like Hassan or Pacman behind closed doors, they'd probably say a whole bunch of pro-Trump stuff.
Wow. Like, based on what exactly? He's just, this is what Tim Pool writes on Wattpad. This is, I mean, if you look on Wattpad and there are videos about, badly written stories about how the secret MAGA arc of fucking Hassan or something like that, that's Tim Pool writing that. This is his headcanon.
Easily. They're just putting on a show for money. I do believe Hassan Piker hates America.
Well, as opposed to Tim, who does this for free. It's out of the goodness of his heart.
America?
Yeah.
this. I do believe that he is like pro-Palestine. I do believe he hates Israel and all those things. But there are a lot of pro-Trump people also absolutely hate Israel and hate that Donald Trump supports Israel, but they like Trump for what he's doing for America.
You mean because that's been wonderful. I mean, apart from like the deportations and the having a bunch of 20-year-old chuds fuck up the computer systems that control whether you get your Social Security. I mean, the idea of just starting a trade war with Earth, that was a wonderful thing that he did for America right there.
And that's, it is what it is. But I'd be willing to bet.
What the fuck does that mean?
Based on the logic of Trump's plans, like, renegotiating the USMCA and things like this, if you brought those progressives in private with the cameras off, they'd say, I like all of these things. And if you go, those are Trump things.
Renegotiating the what was it?
Renegotiating the USMCA and things like this.
USMCN, that is not immediately jumping. USMCN. I just looked up the USMCN, and does anyone know what the hell that is? Because all I'm getting when I Google that is links to USMC, as in U.S. Marine Corps. Like, does anyone know what he means by the USMCN?
If you brought those progressives in private with the cameras off, they'd say, I like all of these things. And if you go, those are Trump things, they'll go, I don't know, whatever. They won't.
Wow, so, like, even in this weird-ass headcanon, where supposedly all these guys are secretly pro-Trump, even in this headcanon that he's come up with, he can't even he doesn't even think it's believable that they would secretly actually be pro-Trump. He just thinks that they would secretly like Trump things like this thing that Google never heard of. But not if they associated with Trump. And also, yeah, I don't really see much evidence that pro-Trump people specifically have any opposition to Israel. Neo-Nazis, people who are just anti-Semitic, hate Israel. I mean, there is a division between people who are anti-Semitic and hate Israel and people who are anti-Semitic and love Israel. The latter are big Trump supporters, but they're also like big supporters of like fucking Biden as well a lot of the time. But like the people that he's talking about, I mean, they're not really necessarily all that big on Trump. They're just Nazis, and they don't really give a shit about they don't give a shit about Palestine either. They have this whole idea. They actually these sort of people, you can always tell when you're around them, because somehow it will turn out that the worst thing that Israel ever did was the USS Liberty.
Want to admit it.
I'm so glad you brought up David Pakman, because he's actually...
Nobody was ever glad... Just stop lying. Nobody is ever glad that anyone brought up David Pakman.
The ruling regime. Where I have watched this clip of David Pakman multiple times.
Who the hell is this guy, by the way? I've never seen him here before.
To analyze it, and it's him talking about the economy being good, and I watch it because it's just emblematic of the DNC personified.
Like the economy being good right now?
Yeah. And this was like a year ago, but it was...
So not right now. A year ago and right now, those are different things, actually.
Saying, the stock market, the numbers are, line go up equal world gooder. It's that whole story.
Oh, right, yeah, graph go up.
And a lot of these...
wait, are they gonna pretend that this isn't basically how they view the thing? Like these people had a nuanced idea of what it means for, like, share prices to fluctuate before it turned out that the only way you could defend Trump was to acknowledge that actually share prices and the state of the majority, the economic situation of the majority of the population are two unrelated things a lot of the time.
It's themselves completely falsified. So he's going off...
falsified. See, this guy...
gerrymandered and falsified and exaggerated statistics at best. Say that everything is fine. We're at war with East Asia.
You know, I want to.
Oh wow, yeah, it's like George Orwell.
Because he deserves all.
Like, I mean, let me just say, first of all, it's wild to be like mentioning Pac-Man and fucking like Hassan in the same breath, because I don't think they would agree on a whole lot of things. Except, I mean, they both like would agree that Trump sucks, because most people agree that Trump sucks. Actually, that. Like, lots of people hate Trump, and that doesn't mean we're on the same side. But, I mean, I think that Pac-Man would probably turn out to be quite consistent in his view of what makes a good economy, just because he is fairly consistently neoliberal. So I don't think you're going to have some sort of gotcha moment when, if you look into what he says about what the stock market says about the economy.
All of the attention he can get for his hard work. This is his list of videos on YouTube right now with 3.17 million subscribers. Bravo to him. He gets millions of views. He gets massive viewership. Over 2 billion views. He makes tons of money. Dude's probably a millionaire. First video, Trump. Second video, Trump. Next video, Trump. Trump.
Well, I mean, it's almost like this Trump guy actually plays kind of a major role in this society. Like, I mean, just thinking about it like an archaeologist, you stumble upon this YouTube channel a million years from now, it's like, wow, this Trump person must have actually held a pretty important position in the society. I wonder.
Fifth video, Trump. Sixth, Trump. Oh, wait. Seventh video is press briefing or SNL skit. He doesn't mention Trump, okay. The next one is GOP down because of Trump. Trump. It's guys, you get the point. These people do not do news and political commentary. It's literally just the Trump show. And
I mean, okay, and that is Pac-Man. But yeah, we were talking about Hassan a minute ago, and if anything, like, Hassan has been doing quite a lot about other things, actually. I mean, ask Ethan Klein, he's still angry about it.
I think they're attracted to it. But you know what, that's just me. But here's I want to go back to the Hassan Piker story, and let's talk about the corporate press.
You are the corporate press.
Did the New York Times give a glowing profile to Hassan Piker? Honest question.
Probably.
Something that warrants
I mean, this seems actually very backhanded.
This full image, and I mean, they're not criticizing him at all, for the most part. I mean, do they bring up?
Yeah, I mean, I would really be surprised if this is genuinely praising him. I mean, let me see here. Like many successful internet personalities who appeal to a generation of young men, Mr. Piker, 33-year-old Twitch and YouTube streamer, is a pro. He likes weapons, inhales supplements, uses nicotine pouches, and ruminates endlessly. Yeah, okay, so. Notice an avowed socialist. That is a thing. That is something you always see when it's like somebody who holds any kind of leftist ideas. They'll add avowed. I mean, I think the reason that they're paying attention to him when they don't pay attention to so many other leftist streamers and creators is probably because he's so big that you can't ignore him. I mean, he is kind of all over like the DNC had him covering the convention until they realized that he was going to have some opinions on the convention and the sheer racism of the thing.
All I know is that they said it's a progressive mind and a body for the manosphere or a MAGA body fighting L.
And I think actually calling it the manosphere body is even weirder, because those guys, yeah, they have this image that they want to look up to of like really built dudes who pump iron every 5 minutes because and you know have extremely vascular foreheads and shit. But I mean, that isn't what they look like. I mean, like, is that fucking Jeremy the Quartering Hamlin? Does he look like that? Does fucking Tim Pool look like that? I mean, you have like fucking Abe Lincoln, fucking serial killer looking guy there. He kind of does, but like Look at the guy. I mean, look at their lineup here. There's only one guy who could actually be described as any of those things in there. You have Tim Pool, who just looks like the guy who hangs around the junior high school and that your parents insisted on picking your little sister up literally every day and not letting her walk home because of. You have, like, Tim Pool's accountant, I guess, is what that guy looks like. And then you have, like, Beefcake Abraham Lincoln.
Fighting for LGBTQ rights, etc., etc. Do they bring up the times he said America deserved 9/11 or things like that?
Yeah, he said that once, and he was actually mostly joking.
I got here livesearch.app. It's at livesearch app. They track the biggest live streams in the country every day. And you will see number 1 for April 29th. Now, I know this is 2 days ago. This is the latest update. Steven Crowder, the biggest live stream in the country. Consistent.
Yeah, what does that mean, actually, though?
Too. Crowder's usually number 1 or number 2. Dan Bongino was number 1 for a while, but now he's the FBI. Kai Cenat, number 2. Yo,
well, it's almost as if right-wing creators have a huge amount of algorithmic boosting and mutual marketing to fall back on. But number 19, I mean, Hassan's number 19, which there are actual, like, TV channels that didn't do that well. So, I mean, let me see. You've got Redacted, I mean, and then Hassan is number 19. So, that's, I mean, that's better than the Severe Weather Center, which you'd think would probably be doing fairly well.
Up on Instagram all the time, and his persona is I'm confused. Like, am I wrong?
He just makes a confused face at the camera and like, yeah.
Right?
That's what Tim does.
It's more like a minstrel show, if I'm being honest.
Well, I mean, I don't want to.
Wait, who is he talking about?
It's more like a minstrel show, if I'm being honest.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to hear what. Wait, a fucking minstrel show? I don't. This is gonna go in a very, very unfortunate direction. I mean, it's Tim Pool. We know it's going to go in one. You never know what the direction's going to be, though.
Dan Bongino was number 1 for a while, but now he's the FBI. Kai Cenat, number 2. Yo, everybody knows him.
I never heard of him.
Up on Instagram all the time, and his persona is I'm confused. Like, am I wrong?
Okay. Does anyone know who that guy is?
Camera and like, yeah. I mean, it looks more like a minstrel show, if I'm being honest.
Well.
Like, okay, that's kind of worrisome.
I don't want to drag him because I think when he's going and doing, like, he goes places and he's confused when he sees something new. It's entertaining. I'm not trying to drag the guy for it. It's fun content. Tim Castirel, number 3. Proud to say. Bob Ross, number 4. Right Side Broadcasting, number 5. Ryan Hall, number 6. Queso, number 7. Vince, number 8. Again, number 9. Ross, number 10. Redacted, number 11. Tim Cast Morning Show, number 12. Jinx, number 13. Long Crime 14. PPD 15. Tim 10 16.
Are we going to read the entire fucking thing?
So, certainly you're allowed to write glowing profiles and reviews wherever you want. They don't need to be the biggest shows in the world.
Oh wow, Botez Live is that high up?
He's the 19th.
That's a they're chess players. That's a chess related. I mean, there's other stuff that also goes on, but like there's a lot of chess in there. I'm surprised that that's that big.
Live show in the country on average around there. The New York Times is giving me a profile because the New York Times is liberal media.
Hey, Toriel, good to see you.
Trying to promote the worldview that he has.
I think a portion of it is that they believe that he will attract young men, like Joe Rogan or whatever, because the left...
Pretty good. Quickly approaching another birthday, and... Ooh, it's been a very complicated few months. But we're watching Chuds talk about Hassan... or at least try to, and they've been explaining their headcanon about how secretly they think that any, like, leftist or even, like, fucking, sort of liberal, centrist content creator, actually, they all secretly love Trump, but they won't say it.
No, is that they've lost...
Because they don't like money.
Of young men are turning to the right, and so Hassan, as a... as the guy that wears masculinity like a skin suit, just like the left does with just about everything.
Wait. What? He wears masculinity like a skin suit. Like, I mean, it is literally his body that we're talking about, I guess. So I guess it's a sort of skin... He says the left wears everything like a skin suit? Like, I mean, and this is really weird coming from a guy... Then again, I really shouldn't second guess his ideas on skin suits, because he looks like the sort of guy who makes them.
They believe that he'll attract young men back to the left.
Does Hassan have a predominantly male audience?
Yes.
I assumed it was female.
I would assume anyone in politics is going to
Did she just kind of give...
have a predominantly male audience.
Okay, yeah, that's fair, and also because the majority.
Well, based on what? He just...
Twitch or YouTube, they're male.
I don't know that's true. I know
it's like 60% of users on YouTube are male.
She's correct.
Okay.
The left has an inability to see the inner forms of things. They can.
Oh wow, we're gonna get to hear about the inner forms of things.
Only see their external trappings.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you listen to people like this, or you listen to like Ethan Klein as well, like they cannot wrap their head around the idea that somebody could sincerely believe the things that they say they believe. They literally cannot accept the possibility that the people that they are like opposing could actually genuinely believe that they are wrong.
And due to that, their sense of time is very poor. They don't have a concept of change flowing over time incrementally.
Well, yeah, that's one thing you know about leftists. We just don't have a theory of change. I mean, you never hear leftists having like a theory of change or anything.
Incrementally. And so, one of their core issues is they're sensing that they're losing a lot of support with their young male demographic.
There's not really... I mean, they keep trying to make this happen, and then when you actually look at the poll they're talking about, it turns out, wow, holy shit, 15% of young men are right-wing. And then Tim Pool will be like, you see, women are going to have to go to the right because we're going to be the only people for them to fuck. And, I mean, like he has, now that he believes that he's the last man on the planet or something like that, that means he has a shot.
But then they don't realize that that's not something you can change overnight by just having a... Because they see Joe Rogan, and they want to have a figure like Joe Rogan.
What, you mean sort of a loser? Who's incoherent?
But then they can't artificially create that.
I mean, somebody did. Somebody clearly did, because we have Joe Rogan.
And they can't artificially build up that cultural form, and they can't wipe away the years of abuse.
Like, I mean, this is so hilarious. He keeps on using the word, like, artificially, but there is nothing more artificial than the cultural phenomenon that they are. It is literally the result of huge amounts of money being pumped in by a handful of fucking billionaires and an algorithm making their stuff impossible to miss. That's it. Like, you take away the money in the algorithm, if we had, like, equal fucking money, you think that these guys would be the ones that people turn to?
Here's a story from Axios, Democrats eyeing 2028 court the manosphere. And I just mentioned this, but they bring up the manosphere as going on PBD. Yeah, going on the Men at Work, going on Flagrant. They mentioned that Trump made popular going on mano...
Wait, so they're gonna talk to fucking incels. That's their plan? Jesus Christ.
Manosphere shows like Joe Rogan, Theo Von, Lex Fridman.
I didn't realize that he was considered...
is the exact opposite of the manosphere.
Yes.
Is it just because they're male?
That's because they're male. Well, look,
They're men.
the left knows nothing about men.
They also.
And I just...
I think, considering that there are men on the left, that there might be some leftists who know stuff about men.
just the right of courting the womanosphere. So I'm confused. What is the right?
Well, no. They said that there is the rise of the womanosphere, which is Brett Cooper and Candace Owens. And
I mean, I that's just fash. What is? I mean, yeah, okay, they're women, but they're just fash.
I some other people. I just want to mention one real quick thing about Lex Fridman, and I mean this with all due respect. Do you know what the number one reason people tell me they listen to Lex's podcast?
Because they can't find the mouse to change the channel.
Just go to sleep.
Yes,
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I'm not. This is not a joke. I hear all the time from my friends that, and
Well, oh wow, if it's Tim Pool's friends say it, then obviously that's a cultural phenomenon. Yeah, they have absolutely no idea.
Maybe this is a really good thing. They turn on Lex's show and they fall asleep. Like,
I can believe it. I can absolutely believe it.
the
soothing timbre of his voice.
But I mean that literally. I do. Think
Also, he's really boring.
It's a very low, calm show.
Yeah.
Where the talking is quite
It's a
honestly
white
opposite
noise
of this.
machine.
It is, but it's interesting too. So you get a mix of maybe for about 10 minutes you're hearing someone say something like, with the AI advancements in the latest developments, we're starting to see programs that are writing them. Just knocks you right out.
No, well, yeah, I mean, when I hear somebody coming up with that load of bullshit, that also I know I can tune out because, I mean, the thing is that it turns out AI is really bad at writing code. It keeps on throwing in dependencies that do not exist. And then it's really handy for anyone who wants to create malware and inject it pre-compilation into all sorts of major enterprise level software, because you can just, if you know what fake dependencies these AIs, these large language models, are going to put into the code that they write, you can just name things that, and they will import whatever library, and it's basically at that point kind of undetectable because you didn't inject something into already compiled code. It was added during when it was being compiled.
No.
But anyway, you make a good point. The reason why the New York Times writes an article about a guy who he's got a big show that's fine, but there's a lot of other people to write about.
Oh, I'm glad it's fine with Tim that he has a big show.
They've been demanding, they've been begging for the left version of Joe Rogan, which to be honest was Joe Rogan. And they're
No, that's by definition that is not the left version of. The whole reason you have the idea of the left version of Joe Rogan is because you want an alternative to Joe Rogan. You don't.
thinking, okay, Hassan's got a big live audience. Can we make him big? Can we make him the masculine presence to bring men into progressive politics? I think the answer...
Yeah, because the New York Times loves to bring people into progressive politics.
is no. Because I'm willing to bet that most of the guys who watch Hassan are probably not very strong. And guys who are masculine are not going to agree with a worldview aligned with progressivism, no matter
Dress like girls too.
no matter how you dress.
Wow. Okay. I mean, this is what's great about the Tim Poolcast. You don't actually have to base what you say on anything. You just, okay, we're gonna say that guys who watch Hassan are not strong, because if you are strong, you wouldn't think that that Yemen's sanctions on Israel are a good idea. I mean, this is such a weird lens to view the world through. Because seriously, you want to make this about fucking who's more alpha, whatever the hell that is? Who looks more alpha right now? Actually, if you're gonna use that as your fucking your cultural touchstone, which you absolutely should not. Donald Trump, sort of completely futilely screaming at Yemen to stop their sanctions and let the genocide proceed without any disturbance, Or Yemen saying, poorest country in the region has been through all kinds of just horrible shit being put through it by the US and Saudi Arabia, and they just go, yeah, no, we're not fucking backing down. I mean, is fucking, how does, I don't think Trump actually looks all of that tough in that picture. Argument of alphas and betas and omegas and various other Greek letter testicle configurations is quite a thing for the only two gender crowd. Yeah! And the other thing that gets me about that, how many Deep Space Nine fans have we got in chat? Because if you watch the Mirror Universe on Deep Space Nine, which they easily wrote it was the best written version of the Mirror Universe in all of Star Trek that I know of. But the way they indicate the trust level of the human slave laborers is by attaching Greek letters to them.
Up the salesman of progressivism, it is anti-masculine.
It is.
Guys who exercise are not going to get down with communism.
No.
Why? Why would exercising run? You think that communists don't work out? What does that even mean? Guys that exercise aren't going to be down with communism.
The defining factor, or not the defining factor, one of the common traits of people on the right is they believe they have agency and the ability to affect their world. And people on the left think that life happens to them.
No. It's really remarkable, and I have to say, reassuring on a certain level, how completely oblivious they are to what the actual arguments on the left are. They have absolutely no idea, and they transmit this complete obliviousness, this complete ignorance to their dickhead audience of 12-year-old pre-chuds, which means that if they ever actually come in contact with someone on the left, with some leftists, with communists or anarchists or anarcho-communists or one of the many different flavors that are available, they will be totally unprepared for it, and it will blow their mind on a certain level. I mean, in a way, this is a service that they're doing because I would feel much more worried about this sort of content if they were actually coming up with bullshit responses to what we actually say and believe.
People on the right think I am able to have an impact on my life. It's why they are the go-getters. It's why they're the people that go and exercise.
And they go and they get, and they tell the help to get mostly.
Why they're the people that start businesses. It's why they're the people that do things. People on the left are activists because they want someone to advocate for them.
Wait, what? Okay, so people on the left advocate because we want someone to advocate for us? Again, I mean, I'm really actually quite pleased to see that this is the state of their understanding of what we stand for, honestly. Because that means that the people who listen to them are just unprepared. They don't have some sort of pat response that they can, thought-stopping cliche, because they literally have no idea what we would say about any of this.
This is something that's common. And again, it's not all people that are on the right or on the left, but it's very, very common.
Citation very needed.
They have blamed men and boys for all the problems in the world, and they've been doing it for 30, 40 years, and now they're realizing, oh crap.
That's so cool that the left only happened 30 to 40 years ago.
And to attract young men back, and the best way to do that is get masculine-looking men to give the narrative that the left wants.
Yeah, I mean, see, we're breeding Hassans, you see. We have these little pods, and we're just breeding lots of beefy dudes to compete with Joe Rogan.
One of the contradictions here, I don't watch Hassan Piker's content, but
Wow,
it
I'm
seems
shocked.
He doesn't align with mainstream Democrat Party views.
Wow. Okay. This is fascinating to me. The Gelfling there, like evil Jenny Nicholson, she quite correctly, despite admitting she's never watched Hassan. I mean, also, I've pretty much all the Hassan I watched has been in relation to the whole shit fight with Ethan Klein and all that bullshit. But she quite rightly noted something that you don't really hear people acknowledge often on the Tim Poolcast. Namely, that actually there is something to the left of the Democrats.
He's a comic.
Hard lines, because he.
Well, no.
Well, I don't know what he would call
progressive. The people working at the New York Times.
I mean, I believe he very explicitly calls himself a socialist.
But as boomers and Gen X move out of those positions, millennials fill them, and you're getting largely, I mean, journalists tend to be women and tend to be Democrats. So these younger people, look at Bud Light. Bud Light's goes Dylan Mulvaney. They say we want to get rid of the frat bro image.
I didn't think that light beer was a frat bro thing.
And it was obvious it was going to be some millennial woman who got hired in the marketing position who was going to change the rules or like change the play, and it was correct. It was this woman.
Wow, I mean, it's almost like maybe there are women who drink beer. And even women who drink, like, fucking Bud Light, which is not beer. Like, Bud Light is basically the way you make Bud Light if you don't have it is you take a bottle of Molson and then you have a cat piss in it and then you add about 1 milliliter of water for every milliliter of that mixture is in the bottle. And then you got big Bud Light.
This is what happens when millennial women come in. They bring their worldview with them. Why wouldn't they? And that's what's happening at the New York Times. They're promoting Hassan because to them, he is what the left needs to be.
But are they? And they've not actually looked at the article, which doesn't really seem so much like promoting him as acknowledging him, because the thing is, when you have somebody who so many millions of people have seen, such a huge following, it is actually, it is credibility destroying for a major publication like the New York Times that claims to have their, like, finger on the pulse of the culture or whatever, not to at least acknowledge the existence of the person in a backhanded way.
Is he normal? Like, would you consider him normal looking? Like,
Hassan?
Because I remember back in the summer last year, they started this campaign about how Trump is weird and Vance is weird.
But they are.
Weird, and they wanted to kind of put this, like, weirdness.
They left that behind because it didn't work. Because
it didn't land.
As soon as
but it did land. It was like the one thing that actually did land, but they did leave it behind, which is also why one of the many reasons that their campaign was fucking disastrous. Like, they tried to do a genocide and not even offer any concessions to balance that out.
Selling shirts that were like, Trump is weird, and they had, like, a girl with a septum piercing and purple hair, like, modeling it.
Yeah, as soon...
fucking hell, what decade are you from that's unusual? Septum piercings were, like, new and shocking when Pulp Fiction came out. They have not been shocking or new since then.
As Trump and Vance went on the podcasts, people were like, oh, these guys are totally normal. And it's particularly Vance. Vance, they really...
Well, who said they were totally normal?
He's weird, blah, blah, blah. And then Vance went on Joe Rogan and I believe on, I'm not sure who else, but he went on a bunch of podcasts and people were like, oh, he's like the most normal dude ever. I don't know. what the hell they're
Just,
talking
shoot
about.
shit. But what I understand is that Hassan Piker's content is mostly him monologuing during his streams, and what people like about Joe Rogan is that he is interviewing people, and he at least approaches things from a standpoint of intellectual humility. Like
Intellectual humility. That's the Joe Rogan standpoint, apparently.
has something to learn from his guests.
Yep.
That's not something that I've seen in
No.
any left-wing podcaster.
No.
How many fucking left-wing podcasts do you watch? I mean, she already acknowledged she does not watch Hassan. So which ones does she watch, though?
Because they
would never interview someone they disagree with anyway.
Yeah,
they tried.
They want to tell people what they're supposed to think. The left is top down, the right is not.
Oh, wow, yeah, I mean, the fucking Tim Pool and his merry band here are not telling people what they're supposed to think at all.
Because of top down. And this is all stuff that Rudyard has talked about in multiple of his videos. Like, he's covered a bunch of this stuff.
Thanks for checking out this clip.
You're not welcome. Okay. Still got quite a bit of time. So, we have part 2 of Chris Kunzler's reaction to the Hassan-Ethan debate. But then we also have Askold Fish reacting to it as well. We also have Michael Crapaport exposed by A Tribe Called Quest, which I'm kind of curious about. Yeah, the right is not top down. Like, yeah, okay, it all comes from, like, a handful of billionaires who pay people to use the exact same talking points. If I were listening to them and not screaming back at them, I think it would burn out pieces of my brain. I literally cannot watch stuff like this without, like, talking back at the screen. Because it is just such bullshit. Chat, turn up your volume, let the man pee. This is, I think, I'm not sure if this is Hassan's chat or Chris Kunzer's chat, but one of them's chat is, like, wanting to turn up the volume on somebody pissing. Or something.
Consider pro-Palestine enough to not warrant criticism, and he said of these people, one of them is dead and the rest of them different visions. The PLO and the ANC collaborated before Arafat denounced violence, you know?
Yeah, in fact, it's worth noting that the ANC,
Sorry.
the whole reason that Mandela was in prison for 27 years was that he refused to condemn armed resistance.
I liked Adam Friedland's tweets about this. Ethan, a non-political, was able to make Hassan look like a most fool in the... Ethan, a non-political commentator, was able to make Hassan look like a fool most of the debate. Overall, Ethan W. Let's go Israel. Hot stanky garbage. Any Israel flag will get you banned from my channel because I don't like Israel. I don't have any sympathy. I don't want to see Israel's flag. So yeah, that's enough of that. But yeah, I mean,
Hello,
also,
Mask. How you doing?
By the way, like the way that it just sort of was like watching Ethan. Like it got a bit more serious after like 2 hours. But like,
I skimmed through that debate yesterday, and it was like, I actually had steam coming out of my ears because all it was that Ethan would say some bullshit, And then Hassan would say, yeah, actually, that's a load of crap. You know that's a load of crap. And they would go back and forth. And then Ethan would change the subject. And then he would come back and say, but you see, you just admitted, but, you know, just to be clear, you just admitted the bullshit that I said is true. And, like, it was, it was just constant fucking going around in circles. Around things that Ethan came up with, and things that Ethan came up with are never good. They really aren't. Oh, I'm not bad. Continuing to be, you know, just sort of a rough couple of years to be a translator, and I have to say. But I got a birthday coming up, kind of looking forward to that.
The first 2 hours were Ethan screaming. I loved it when Hassan was like, you're having hallucination.
Well, that guy just looks like the sort of person who probably has a series of skin suits and a gormless sheriff's deputy who keeps having coffee in his kitchen, talking about, you know, we had another one of them missing persons cases the other day. Wonder what's going on there. Well, if you ever need some help looking for him, Sheriff, you know who to call. And somebody's fucking screaming from the basement.
Hold on, I actually need to pull up a little Google document as well. But yeah, I mean, in the case of South Africa, was a vote really all that people needed? Was it what they wanted? I don't know. And I just think, I also loved it when Ethan Klein brought up, Norman Finkelstein.
Yes, exactly.
Like, Norman Finkelstein has some pretty fucking problematic views on Palestine. Like, I don't think his view on, like, BDS and, like, academic boycotting Israel are, like,
Okay, that is, I have to say, a big point in Chris Kudzler's favor. Is I feel like there's a lot of very uncritical platforming of Norman Finkelstein, and which is wild because he's gotten worse, actually, over the past decade. Like, when he was just, like, saying that the Palestinian BDS campaign was a cult, and that we shouldn't, like, explicitly refuse to work with Zionists, and stuff like that. I mean, that sucked. But then he decided that he needed to do some transphobia, too. Yeah. It's like, he is still actually extremely knowledgeable on this subject, and when he's specifically talking about what goes on in Palestine, he does actually, it is useful, but, like, the uncritical, we're pretending that he didn't spend, like, the past decade shitting all over the BDS campaign and all this other stuff that he was doing, and his horrible new book where he's, like, decides to just, do the just creepiest transphobic shit I've read in a while. Like, he's fucking glintering.
Reasonable. I don't think he believes in academic boycott of Israel.
Yeah,
and
he doesn't.
What? Ilan Pape said to me, well, he didn't say this to me, he said it to, like, our encampment when he was there. He was like, someone was like, do you not think that if you boycott Israeli academics, you'll boycott some of the good ones? And he went, I can count on my hands the amount of Israeli academics that I would consider pro-Palestine enough to not warrant criticism. And he said...
and the thing is, a lot of those academics are not in Israel. They're not at, like, Israeli universities. You've got the point in time about right, because when he lost that tenured position over some complete bullshit, I think that actually did break something in him. That is when he started having some of the cringest takes. But yeah, I mean, you look at the, like, Israeli Jewish academics who actually are pro-Palestinian enough that you would feel that it was, like, collateral damage to boycott them. They aren't affiliated with Israeli institutions. They're, like, they're in London and Berlin. And actually, I mean, they are being boycotted, but they're being boycotted by the governments of those countries.
Of these people one of them is dead, and the rest of them would not give a solitary fuck if you were to basically boycott us. Who cares, you know? It's kind of like this thing of just, I think that, yeah, I think that it's kind of, I don't know, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just checking something. Sorry. My internet also should be better today, but I don't 100% know. The part about Anne Frank was absurd. No one celebrates her for pacifism. I mean, I think people celebrate Anne Frank for... you know what? I've never read Diary of a Young Girl, but I don't think that's the reason that I have heard of her. You know?
Yeah, and also, I mean, I did read it, and it's been a long time, and my takeaway from that was not pacifism. My takeaway from that was that, you know, she was 13 years old and trying to see the good in everybody in the midst of a situation that really made that difficult. I don't really read that as, I mean, like, especially, like, the biography of Anne Frank certainly is not a great argument for nonviolent resistance to fascism. Even if the autobiography...
Shall we just begin? Oh no, I haven't even started yet. I've just been talking. Maybe, you know what? I'll do 13 minutes until we start the stream. I'll just continue answering questions.
I'm gonna skip ahead of this because I want to see him reacting to this car crash that I subjected myself and you to yesterday.
You were absent from every other shot. I think you saw him doing that Fortnite dance and you said, I gotta get out of this. No, by the way, I'm giving you credit for that.
Creating Jewish majority in a Jewish minority country is problematic. Why is this just accepted? Exactly. And also, by the way, it is also always made more unacceptable.
I mean, the issue is not so much like that the result was a majority, it was how they did it. Because it wasn't that, you know, the birth rate of the indigenous Palestinian Jewish population just increased and something else was going on and, like, that non-Jewish Palestinian birth rates like stabilized or stagnated or something like that, or some kind of a natural phenomenon. It was because Europeans colonized it and kicked out the majority of the population.
Acceptable by the fact that there were a lot of people who said don't do that because you're going to cause a lot of problems. And it did. I think that, in fact, the way that they were... I'll talk about this more later. But the way that Ethan frames, like, the suffering of Jewish people in the Middle East, yeah, there's a point to it. But, like, I think that the more major point would be, hey, wasn't that Zionism's fault by virtue of establishing a settler colony, you know?
Yeah, in fact, it was. If you read... Avi Schlein talks about this in his autobiography, which I've read excerpts of, and I've seen him talk about. One of the things that you have to understand is... when the Nazis set out to, like, try to promote anti-Semitism in the Middle East and the Arab population, they found that they did not have any anti-Semitic literature that they could just distribute. They had to translate it because that just wasn't a thing. And in fact, what made it possible to make it a thing was the Zionist colonization of Palestine. Like, this literally was not a thing. It had to be very much... All this talk... In Germany, they like to talk about, anti-Semitism is imported. We never had any anti-Semitism in Germany until the Turks got here. Because, I mean, which is the one thing everybody knows about Germany. They were so chill with Jews. For just great place to be Jewish, always. But literally, Germany had to import anti-Semitism to the Middle East. They actually had to translate European anti-Semitic tracts in order to make that a thing, because that was not a major, like, social division the way it was in Europe. It certainly, yeah, exactly. It's certainly the birthplace of the term anti-Semitism. But you hear, like, including the Felix Klein, whose name sounds Jewish enough that a lot of people think he is Jewish, but he doesn't correct people who think that, but he isn't, because you can't be Jewish and be an anti-Semitism commissioner in Germany. They just do not allow Jews to hold that office. He will talk about how anti-Semitism is imported in Germany. You know, it's like he'll be doing. There'll be fucking Nazis marching right across, right through Berlin or something like that, and he's talking about how the anti-Semitism it's all foreigners.
I mean, Ethan, you're a comedian. You know,
Yes, it does mean happy small. Very, very correct.
Participated in some sketches, you know. It happens.
I mean, shit.
You're one of your most famous sketches. You in a fucking diaper. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we've done funny things.
Okay, you know what? Let's not debate the merits of our comedy. You're right. I'm very hacky and sordid. By the way, you believe that the likes were botted on that?
What?
You had said you thought the likes were botted on the content cost. You still believe that?
The likes were botted on the content cop? I don't.
The dislikes were botted. The dislikes are. Yeah, you said it was brigaded and it was botted. It was unnatural. The dislikes on the video.
I don't really care about this. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Well, I'm asking. I don't care.
I don't know why this is making.
You did say it.
It is true, by the way, that the likes aren't botted. Just the extension doesn't work. That's like as simple as it is.
Alright, so you asked a
No.
question.
Hold on, let me finish. Is that how do you feel about Norm Finkelstein?
Oh, this could be interesting. I did not see. We didn't see this bit.
Love Norm. I know he has said that it is.
Here's what he had to say about this.
I know what he said.
No. I want the audience to see this, Hassan. I want the audience to see this video.
I know.
This video. Okay.
I know Norm's position.
Good. I'm glad you know. Let's let the audience know it.
I wonder if Hassan does, because there are a number of positions that have not been brought up. Like, you see Finkelstein all over the place, and a lot of his positions do not get mentioned.
Hassan? Hey, Hassan, let the audience watch the video.
I can have a nuanced and reasonable disagreement with a person that I actually admire.
So that's what we're having.
But I have disagreement.
So it's nuanced and understandable with Norm. Let the audience watch the video, Hassan.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let me go back. Yeah. Here's the Norm. Finkelstein, a prominent figurehead in the Palestinian liberation movement.
I would not call him a prominent figurehead in the Palestinian liberation movement at this point. TIR?
I mean, is Norman Finkelstein that prominent? He's an academic who's written some decent books.
Yeah, like, if this were 2006... Oh, I'm not familiar with them. I mean, I guess I think I've heard the name, but I don't think I've ever listened to them. Like, if this were 2006, I would totally say he was prominent. But, I mean, it's been a long time. You can go a long time in, like, Palestinian solidarity circles and not hear the name Finkelstein.
He knows a lot about Palestine. A lot of people talk about him. But within, like, the Palestinian liberation movement, is he that prominent? He's someone that people look up to. And I don't think he's a bad... Like, I'm not admonishing his work. He's done a lot more than I have. And he knows a lot more about fucking Palestine than I do. But
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is, like, his actual academic, scholarly work on Palestine, it remains extremely recommendable. It's just, he's gotten so, like, the past, like, 13, 14 years have not been, his production has not been good. I mean, he did that thing about, well, like, maybe the Palestinians should learn from Gandhi, and it's like, dude, your whole thing is that you do rigorous scholarly history, and apparently you missed the part where Gandhi's methods didn't work. Maybe, I mean, recommending Gandhi to the Palestinians, I mean, you would not recommend Gandhi's methods to anyone you want to succeed.
He's not... There's no one key figure in Palestine. There are many different people with differing opinions about the liberation of Palestine. And also, by the way, up until pretty much... For the longest time, most Palestinians were committed to the concept of the two-state solution.
I mean, the thing is, you have to actually also understand that as the Palestinians looking at what it looked like they might be able to get. This was the exit from this horrible situation that they're being put through that was available. It's not that people wouldn't want something different if it were available. It's that the only thing that seemed to be even theoretically on the table was the two-state solution, I mean, and they're theoretically is doing some serious heavy lifting there. So that was the thing that people were for, because people were fundamentally in favor of an end to this shit.
Oh, okay, right. People are talking about this N-word thing. The N-word itself may come from wherever. I don't know the actual origins, but I'm talking about the euphemism of saying N-word instead of saying it. It was apparently first used in the O.J. Simpson trial. It's just something I found out recently.
Wait, what?
It's a bad slogan. I know the slogan from the 1960s, the 1970s. It was a bad slogan then, and it's a bad slogan now, because it has too much ambiguity.
People, also, it's funny that Norm didn't...
Yeah, like, shut up, Norm. I guess he's talking about from the river to the sea. And, yeah, shut up, Norm.
Bring this up. The actual slogan is Min al-Maya lel-Maya Palestina Arabiya, which is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be Arab. It's not even free, but like at the same time, it is a fucking chant. It is a chant that is good at protest.
And actually, that's not, he didn't translate that right. The Arabic slogan that is similar to From the River to the Sea says From the Water to the Water.
When Norm Finkelstein is suggesting to change it to whatever he wants, like Palestine is a land that was predominantly inhabited by Arabs. These Arabs were displaced in order for there to be a Jewish state created there. Arguing against that is not an insane thing. It is not a crazy position, and I'm surprised that Finkelstein did say this.
I'm not surprised at all, because again, if you look at what he had to say about BDS, the first thing he had to say about that, I mean, was just it was unbelievable, because he was like, BDS is being dishonest because actually they're calling for, and he used this like emotive Zionist language, the destruction of Israel, because that's what you get if you say abolish the race laws, implement right of return, equality for all, and end the occupation. And it's like, I mean, if you're saying that the state would not be able to exist in a situation of equality, that's not an argument for keeping the state. Like, if like basic bedrock human decency would destroy something, then it should destroy it. Actually.
Say from the river
with the cherry act.
To the sea, Palestine will be free. Obviously, a question arises. Okay, what happens to the Jews in that scenario? And some people will say, well, all it's about is everybody being free, but that's not what the slogan says. So I have, in recent weeks.
You like shut the fuck up, Norm.
Concerned that it's a bad slogan, and I said just change it, tweak it.
Oh God, I can't wait to hear what he says to tweak it too. Like, from the river to the sea, we'll implement UN Resolution 242, footnote, as construed by the ICJ's advisory opinion, legal consequences of the construction of a wall in the occupied Palestinian territory. That'll be catchy.
Palestinians will be free.
Imagine chanting that.
Oh, but wait a second. Okay, how does that address the problem that Norm was just talking about there? Because what Norm was saying was, what Finkelstein was just saying there was like, the question, arises, what happens to the Jews? But if you're saying Palestinians will be free, then, you say Palestine, that doesn't actually limit who it refers to within the territory of Palestine. But the minute you say Palestinians, it does limit it. So, like, surely his alternative is not, it does not address the problem that he is raising.
A fucking protest going, from the river to the sea, one person, one vote.
You can't answer that slowly.
From two things in which you travel by boat, one person, one vote. There, I got it, and it sucks, but it rhymes at least now.
Because all you're talking about is equal rights for everyone. From the river to the sea, one person, one vote, Palestinians will be free.
Wow, that's a great chant.
I don't know if he actually means the one vote thing, because I think what he's saying is good in that from the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free. Which I think. Because you're laughing at Norm.
Campus encampments, college campus, Palestinian encampments as to, I'm not going to make much hay about the slogan in general. There's plenty of other slogans that are...
Well, you're willing to listen to him, but when I say it, it becomes a big controversy.
Well, because when you say it, you've also been, like, defending the genocide. I mean, and also, yeah, it sucks when Finkelstein says it as well.
Literally, I'm not even my opinion with him on that. And you're forgetting one key factor. Okay, you're forgetting one key factor. Norm Finkelstein still...
Yeah, also, just to say, someone put this here. I haven't watched the...
I mean, the thing is, like, Norman Finkelstein, since, like, 2010, 2011, whenever that was, I mean, he is basically a liberal Zionist. That does not change the fact that he did extremely valuable work on this before that. But when you get down to what he's talking about, the sort of thing that he considers to be a good outcome in Palestine, it's liberal Zionism.
The full context of what Finkelstein is actually saying. But someone said here, it's like, oh, he's not disagreeing with it, he's just saying that people... I mean, maybe that's a point that people use it for bad optics, but I'm going to be honest, anything you do is going to be used for bad optics.
Yeah,
like Ethan,
I mean, and even if you don't do it, people make it up. Like, the optics is just a really shitty argument. Like, yeah, obviously don't do something that there's no good reason to do and just sucks. But, I mean, the fact is, you're not dealing with good faith actors. You're dealing with cops and white supremacists. If you don't do anything bad, they will make up something bad that they say you do.
About how at the Great March of Return, there were like a small percentage of people who tried to target the border wall, you know?
Well, which, like, that's so terrible. The poor border wall. I mean, will no one please think of the border wall?
Will always say, while I disagree with the slogan, because I think it scares people, it ultimately does not matter, and I'm not going to stand in opposition to it. He doesn't say it's anti-Semitic. He doesn't say it is exterminationist. That's what people think. If you think that Norm Finkelstein would be in agreement with you in any way, shape, or form on any issue, please have a conversation with him. I was literally in agreement.
I mean, honestly, I think Hassan does not want to acknowledge that probably on the level of what ought to happen in Palestine, Finkelstein and Ethan are probably closer than he would want to acknowledge.
With me, like verbatim.
No, that's right.
Actually, even more.
Norm doesn't think it's anti-Semitic.
Hassan, do you remember me advocating against it? Do you remember me advocating against it?
He agrees with you on anything.
Sure, I'll ask Norm Finkelstein. Do you remember me denouncing that statement and saying people shouldn't say it?
Yeah, I mean, I do.
I believe in our conversation you said...
No, it didn't happen. You're lying. I said it's perceived that way by Jewish people.
Jewish person here, no it isn't. I mean, yeah, it's perceived that way by lots of people, some of whom, a minority of whom are Jewish, but that doesn't mean shit. Like, it's also perceived different ways by Jewish people, and also, maybe Jewish people's opinion should not be the main thing we're worried about right now when there's this genocide going on. Maybe that is not the first concern. Especially when the people who are, like, who will say that that's an anti-Semitic slogan, which it isn't, to be clear, are also the same people who are actually cool with what's going on in Gaza. Like, I don't give a shit about their opinion. Their opinion sucks. Nobody should care about their opinion.
The sovereignty is now very good. I'll ask him about it. Now let me ask you about the...
Because that would be wonderful.
Yes, I'm going to talk to Norm. We'll have a great conversation about from the river to the sea.
Oh God, I mean, Finkelstein and Ethan Klein, that sounds like it would actually be painful.
No. It's my turn. You spoke, and now it's my turn.
You go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very gracious of you.
Well, I mean, it's just a back and forth conversation, but you seemingly have a lot of grievances not pertaining to the actual issue at hand. But
yeah, in fact, his main grievance seems to be that he doesn't want to talk about the issue at hand.
I think the issue at hand is
well, we seem to be coming at this from two different angles, which is great.
Yeah, we definitely do. Okay, reacting to somebody else's react is actually confusing because when he hits pause, the pause shows up more or less in the same place on my screen as my pause does.
should be talking about right now. I think the ICJ needs a new case about Hassan's behaviour. The ICJ should move to sanction Hassan Piker. Also, thank you, Nick. Thank you to everyone donating. I reply in chat normally, because obviously if I haven't got my mic on, I don't really know how to. It's very kind. I never feel it's an obligation at all, though.
Hold on, you said it's my turn to ask, so let me do that.
You already
is it my turn to ask a question or what?
Genocide. You already recognize that Israel's committing a genocide.
I can care about two things, Hassan. It's very important to know.
He can care about two things. Like, he can care about, like, trying to swat Noah Samson at the same time as he cares about realizing that he needs to at least acknowledge that there's a genocide going on because he's looking really, really bad.
Don't you think?
I can care about two things, my friend.
Framework surrounding
Very
your own
easy.
personal feelings.
I'm not that smart, but I can care about two things.
Okay, no, I can't.
Even if one is more urgent than...
Yeah, actually, you know what, Nick? I just want to actually reply to your point here. I think you're totally correct with what you're saying. The problem is not outsiders misunderstanding the slogan. It's bad actors disingenuously...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is absolutely right. I mean, the people who are constantly finding ways to misunderstand that slogan are not people who would be on side with it if it were phrased differently. They're people who don't like the idea of Palestine being free in any way.
Disingenuously smearing the movement. You're 100% correct. We could say anything and people would have a problem with it, you know? We could say anything.
Yeah, there are people whose job is to have a problem with it.
Thank you for your input and educational content on the issue. You know what? The only thing I wish I knew, Alejandro, was I wish I knew more about Mexico. One of my friends is always posting about a Mexican revolutionary, and I just always think, oh, it sounds so interesting. But South America, well, I guess it's Central, or is it North America?
It's North America.
The Americas is not somewhere I know that much. I only really have read like bits and pieces about settler colonialism in the North Americas. The Making of the Other by Tsvetan Todorova is a really interesting piece of literature, actually. Sorry, Ethan is unfortunately too content-brained to have a serious discussion. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that this is what this is.
And plus, he doesn't want to have this particular discussion because he knows it is not going well for him. Like, either he has to completely change where he stands, or he looks like shit. Gonna skip a little bit.
I think even Arafat once spoke about this. He was like the Armenian... he was like, we welcome the Armenians after their extermination. I don't know much about that. And actually, by the way, this is an interesting story, and I'll tell it here because I've got more viewers. I have a family member, right? This is my only real mega connection to the Middle East. I have a family member who saved loads of children during the Armenian genocide. His name is Jakob Kunzler. He's distantly related. You can look him up. There's a Wikipedia page and stuff. And like people are always like, you have German family, you have German ancestors. I don't know who my ancestors really are. I'm not mega into it, but yeah. I don't really have like all of these ancestors and stuff who are like I know much about, but like I just wanted to bring that up because it's interesting. Basically, what's your tattoo? It's these. I don't know if you can see them because I don't actually have my camera up. I've got a horrible pause.
Starling in a birdcage.
This is from a poem. It's like, in paradise I flew, my body kept me caged for a day or two. But yeah.
On what you perceive are dog whistles when they're very clearly not even dog whistles at all. And I'll give you an example of this.
His dog, Hassan's dog, got up when he started talking about dog whistles. And then he just, the dog just went back down. He's like, this fucking guy, he keeps on saying things about dog and it's nothing to do with dog. Stop calling me when you're not calling me.
What very funny was, you tweeted, or you don't tweet, sorry. You Instagram posted about my Theo Von podcast appearance.
Sure
my
did.
Theo Von podcast appearance where you were like, oh, I can't believe Theo Von didn't actually ask him about his like dangerous anti-Semitism or any number of different things in the conversation. Including, I think you talked about Rick Scott. Now, we did actually talk. Theo Von and I did actually talk about Rick Scott.
Let's pull that clip up, Hassan.
But hold on.
Sorry, you're right that Armenia isn't in the Middle East, but basically the reason that I know that this happened in Urfa, which I believe is in Turkey somewhere, I think, at this point, or the Ottoman Empire, because he's one of the eyewitnesses about it. But sorry, there's actually something I wanted to say here. Shit.
I know how that is.
That I wanted to say, but I've kind of forgotten now. Sorry.
Let me finish. But what I found very strange about that was the fact that Theo Von, and I didn't even know this at the time,
Oh yeah, this is a really good point. Have you noticed how? I mean, I spoke about this. And I mentioned it last time. Using Judaism. I mean, yeah, using Judaism as a justification is violent. I think it's led people down a very dangerous path.
Yeah, I mean, it is vile on so many different levels. Or did he say violent? I mean, okay, violent too, but it is absolutely just deeply fucked up. He's fundamentally, what it's doing is using Jews as a human shield for reactionary white supremacist genocidal bullshit.
I think it really has. I think it's like a justification of saying we experience this sort of exceptional thing and so we have the right to do anything has really cultivated a sense in Israel of exterminating people. So, you know, it's really just atrocious. It's really, really atrocious what is happening in Palestine, you know. In Palestine. But on this topic, by the way, as I said, Asmongold was like the most viewed streamer of 2025.
Jesus. That's frightening.
Something so far.
I guess it's calming to watch him like with his fucking goldfish ass face going. And then every once in a while in between that he says something racist.
Asmongold said the Holocaust probably happened a few weeks ago. His name is Jakob, Jakob. You could look him up. But yeah, like Asmongold. Like, why are you not talking about that, Ethan? You know.
Day prior to me had actually interviewed Candace Owens. I think you and I both agree that Candace Owens is an anti-Semite, right?
I think that he was on that 1-2 punch.
Okay, so
what? Wow, bang!
Do you?
Hit him with that anti-Semitism, boy.
Ethan, as your former podcast co-host.
Wait, okay, now he had previously made a point of saying that no, he never actually said that Hassan was an anti-Semite, and now he just did.
Do you think that I am anti-Semitic, one, and if I am, and you think I am, do you think I'm as anti-Semitic as Candace Owens?
So, yes, I think you're anti-Semitic at this point. I'm comfortable saying that.
Yeah, fuck off.
No. You asked me. Hold the phone. You asked me 2 questions together. I'm going to answer both. You said, do you think I'm anti-Semitic? After talking to you so far today, I can say unreservedly yes.
Based on what?
I think that you are more anti-Semitic than Candace Owens? No. But I think your form of anti-Semitism is way more destructive and sinister. Candace...
Wait. So, opposing Zionism is more destructive and sinister than literally supporting Hitler. Because that is where, that is what Candace Owens stands for. She, is a defender of Hitler.
Hold on there, Hassan. This is an important question.
Now. 2 days ago you said
I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer.
Okay.
I think it's hilarious that Ethan's outfit, combined with his facial hair, make him look like Yahya Sinwar in a funhouse mirror. I think that I think that adds a certain special something to this discussion.
It's silent. It's tricky. She's out there just saying what she believes, and I respect her for that. Nick Fuentes is just out there. Nobody knows that what's his stance on Israel. Candace Owens' stance on Israel. But you're tricky. What you do is deny the heritage of Middle Eastern Jews, stuff like that.
No, he doesn't do that.
By the way, daring to compare people who make jokes about like the numbers in the Holocaust and things to people who talk about Palestine and Middle Eastern Jewish people is really, really dangerous. Like, I think that is a minimization of the Holocaust,
yes,
by the way, and also a much more dangerous thing. Like, Ethan...
But, I mean, this is a thing Zionists do. They do not have a problem with anti-Semitism. They see anti-Semites as their biggest fucking allies, and so they suck up to them. So, obviously, he's gonna say that, Hassan is somehow worse than Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes, which is fucking wild. Like, I mean, that is just... I mean, you have, like, 2 fucking neo-Nazis there.
Like, Ethan is talking now about a man who I have seen making a joke where he goes, if this amount of cookies, and literally, like, being, like, openly a Nazi. And he thinks that people like that are less dangerous, you know?
Than people who oppose genocide in Palestine. Okay, I just noticed the time, and it is time to start wrapping up. Thank you to everyone who joined. It's always good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and if you did, contributions are always very much appreciated. It continues to be a really rough time for me, and support for my various projects is a real lifeline. Nobody should feel obliged. I know everybody's kind of fucked at the moment, but those who can and want to have my thanks. I'm just dropping a link in chat to how you can do that. Have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you come Friday at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. From the river to the sea, one person, one vote in accordance with the ICJ advisory opinion on the legal consequences of the construction of a wall in the occupied Palestinian territory. Footnote. There,